Hey everyone, I'm Scott Stokely and I am here in Tokyo, Japan during the viewing of the flower season, and I cannot believe I actually found an open space to throw in. Every park in all of Japan is basically packed with people celebrating Hanami, but I found a little window to do a tutorial video. So this video is going to be about the two things, and there's only two, but the two things that are causing you to not get snapped. Now, before I go on, if you're interested in becoming a complete disc golfer, go to scottstokely.net, sign up for my 6-month online Become a Complete Disc Golfer class. Tons of information about it there. But it's a culmination of my life's work teaching disc golf, and I'm very proud of it. So go check that out. All right, why are you not getting snapped? Well, I will explain. I'll also demonstrate. But if you've watched any of my videos, you know I find it important to explain the why and the philosophy behind it and the mechanics. The more you know about what's happening and what you're trying to do, the easier it is to do it. So it's going to be another wordy video, but I will throw some at the end, I promise. So in this video, I am first going to explain what snap is to the person throwing. I will explain what snap is to a person viewing you. I'll explain what fundamentally causes that snap. And then I'll go on to the two things that are keeping you from getting snapped. So to begin with, what is snap to you? Basically what snap is, it is centrifugal force pressing the blood to the end of your fingers, creating pressure in your fingertips. It's the disc ripping off your fingertips. It's almost like a type of pain, as strange as that sounds. Snap is not a good feeling. When you throw with snap, it does not feel good. Now, we think it feels good because we subconsciously connect it to the good throw or the far throw. But if someone handed you the remote control on the couch and said, every time you hit this button, you'll feel snap in your hand, you wouldn't do it. It's not inherently a pleasurable feeling. This hinge right here moves very fast, pressure, and you feel the disc come off your fingers. That is what snap is to the person throwing. To the person watching, snap is an illusion. What snap means is that when somebody throws who has snap, it has nothing to do with the audible sound. It has to do with what appears to be their body making the disc go one speed, and yet the disc comes out at an entirely faster speed than it appears the person put on the disc. And you've seen this. If you've seen a player with power or a touring pro throw and you go, it looked like they were throwing an approach shot, yet the disc went 400 feet. Right, that's snap. Now, what causes that difference in the perception and what causes the feeling of snap? And what it comes down to is this part of your hand right here is going to travel through space faster than this part of your hand. This part of your hand or arm is going to travel through space faster than this part. This is going to go faster than that part. Okay, it's an acceleration until this part of your hand, where the disc leaves your hand, your fingertips, is traveling faster than any other part of your body at the moment the disc leaves your fingers. There's basically two things, and really only two things, that causes that not to happen. The first is you aren't planting your foot first, meaning you're beginning the throw before that foot hits the ground. Now, I know I've explained this in other videos, but not everybody's watched all my videos, so I'm going to go over it again. Basically, when you throw a backhand, you are cracking a whip. Basically, you're cracking a big giant bullwhip, except the whip does not begin here. The whip begins right there on your foot. Hey guys, you're welcome. You're welcome. The whip begins with your foot. Now, you don't have to have ever cracked a bullwhip to get the reference. All you do to crack a big giant bullwhip is you take the handle of the whip, put it in front, the rest of the whip travels behind, or it's resting behind you, and then the handle of the whip goes first. If the handle of the whip is in front of the rest of the whip and it goes first. Then the handle of the whip will be followed by this part of the whip, followed by this part, this part, this part, that, all the way to the end. But what is important is that the handle of the whip gets there first, the end of the whip gets there last. Remember, this is the handle of the whip. The whip comes all the way up your body, your head, shoulders, hips. This is all the middle of the whip. This is the tip of the whip. It must go in order. Foot first, fingertips last. It has to be in that order, or else the whip will not crack. If you saw someone out in the field trying to crack a whip and they picked up that whip by the handle and then they grabbed that bull whip by the middle of the whip, and for some reason they pushed the middle of the whip first before the handle, like, it's obvious. Like, you would probably laugh. You would say that's not going to make the whip crack. The end of the whip is not going to accelerate to break the speed of sound due to this relatively mundane action of the handle of the whip going if it doesn't go in the correct order. That's why you must plant that foot first. All right, this foot must hit the ground before this part of the whip begins moving forward, before any other part of your body begins moving forward. If you do that, if you plant your foot first before any other part of your body has begun moving forward, then your foot will be followed by your hips, followed by your shoulder, followed by your elbow, followed by your wrist, followed by your fingertips. It'll happen in the correct order. It'll happen automatically, as long as you plant first. There's a fantastic video. I'm going to link to it in the description, but it's Paul, Ricky, Eagle, pretty good golfers there. Manu, by the way, currently the highest rated disc golfer in the world from Japan, and they're all throwing in slow motion. It's a fantastic video to watch, because if you watch this video in slow motion and then tell YouTube to do 1/4 the speed, you can really see what's happening. And what you'll see is what appears to be 4 completely different throwing styles. Don't look for that. Look for what they all have in common. All 4 of those players have their front foot hit the ground before any other part of your body has begun moving forward. That's all this is. So I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate right now. And I gotta step away from the camera. I had to buy the cheapest tripod ever. I can't even tilt it forward. But I'm going to do it correctly the first time, and the second time I'll do it incorrectly. And I'm throwing into the ground so I don't throw over the field. But the plant foot hits the ground first. Go to your local league night and you're going to see a majority of players start to rotate before the foot hits the ground, and their throws look like this. That's it, the entire difference. The foot doesn't hit the ground first, the whip doesn't crack. Now, I made a big lengthy video that got a lot of views about that, but I made a second video about how to not put the nose up on the disc. Meaning you don't, if you remember, if you saw the video, you don't swivel your arm from elbow to wrist. Well, that is also the second thing that causes you to not have snap. Your forearm from elbow to the wrist must remain in a position so the finger, the bottom, your pinky on your finger points down, and that part of your hand remains pointing down, okay? You do not swivel and pop that palm down. You also don't go palm up, which is much less common, but neither of those things, both of those things will cause you to not have snap. Now, I'm going to, for the purpose of demonstrating this, I'm going to tilt my arm down in an incorrect position, but I want to illustrate what I mean. So ignore everything except elbow to fingertips. If I tilt my hand down like this, okay, I've tilted everything 90 degrees, but this is correct. My arm's moving this way. Watch my fingertips. Okay, my fingertips are a blur, but you can see my wrist just fine. My fingertips are going so much faster than my wrist. Well, that's what we want. We want everything as it goes down the arm to go faster at each interval, right? So the fingertips go faster than the wrist. Now, look what happens if I swivel my wrist, if I follow through with the palm down. okay? My wrist is going the exact same speed as it was when I do this, where you can't even see the fingertips. But if I swivel, you can see the fingertips just fine. They are not traveling through space any faster than my forearm is. So if you swivel down, there is no acceleration from here to here. The disc will not snap. I will demonstrate 2 more of these. So the first one will be correct. I'm gonna keep that pinky down. Look at my hand position, right? That is snap. I'm gonna do it again, and I'm not gonna snap the disc. Palm went down, no acceleration, no centrifugal force rushing blood to the end of my fingers, no acceleration from here to here, no snap. That is it. You do these 2 things, you will have snap. If either of these 2 things you don't do, you will not have snap, period. Hope you all enjoyed this. I can't believe I made it through the whole video in the most crowded park in Osaka. Everyone's viewing the cherry blossoms except on this little dirt field right here I happened to find. But every grass park in all of Japan is going to be filled for the next 2 weeks. So a little bit noisy, but I hope I provided the good information. Remember, if you're interested in my 6-month online Become a Complete Disc Golfer class, check it out at scottstokely.net. Thanks, everyone.